Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in this market or to just learn from the market. But first, y'all, let me give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. If you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, because we learn and we grow together. So with that being said, y'all, let's get started. We are looking at Netflix today, and Netflix moves in a very, very different way. Yesterday we traded sideways only to have this nice move up. So if you were able to trade that, and if you have not considered that, just try maybe adding that to your watch list. Again, not financial advice, because if you can get in at the right time, as with Tesla, you can make a decent profit. Let's say that, especially with trading options. So I wanted to point that out. So again, trouble places for Netflix as of right now. It looks like we've come down here, bounced off the ATR trail, and stop again on this 30-minute chart. That 5 EMA is kind of like a support resistance. So kind of like a support area for us. I had this level here marked of $1,092.52. And it seems like we're having trouble here at this line, which is around the $1,095.62. So I had this level of $1,092.52, $1,092.62. So where the trouble places as of now, $1,099.03. Breaking that brings us back to $11.0570. Breaking that brings us back to $11.0808. So if you're trading Netflix, those are kind of areas to the upside. Back to the downside, let's see where we are. $1,086.17. Under that, $1,077.58. And if we should break that, around the $1,068.58, and again $1,065.12. So if you're trading Netflix, those are possible areas, or possible areas of support and resistance. And as you can see, I've already went ahead and added my moving averages, or things that could help me along my journey, because there's a gap from this line to this line. So I went in and filled in some places that I could possibly find support. Just wanted to point that out. So now let's go back to our Tesla. Tesla does what Tesla does, right? We closed at 259.51. Y'all see we were down here at 244 and up to the 266. That's Tesla, right? Now, where are the trouble places as of now? It seems like this area we have marked at the 260.62 is a support area. Resistance as of now around the 261.52. Should we break that level, there's a few layers of resistance here. So I would watch, let's say above, 260.270. So if we break this level here of 260.62, we could possibly get through to 260.270. Should we break that area, 263.60, again at 264.58, 265.71, 266.54. Keep in mind, we've been there, right? 266.54. If we break that 266.54, we have 266.73 here. 266.73. breaking that brings us back to around 267.54. breaking that 267.54 for Tesla. 269.01. It's interesting to be in the 269s for Tesla, right? So back to the downside, if we lose this area of support here around the 260.62 area, there's a few layers. So I'm just going to say under this level here of 259.73, we can come back to the ATR trail and stop, which is around 258.97. Breaking that brings us back to 258 even. If we should break that level, 257.19. And if we should break that level, there's a few layers here. So I would say under this 256. That's a bit like, okay, so 257.19 and then 256.33. Breaking the 256.33, we could very well come back to 256 even. And breaking that level 255. Under the 255, we can come back to 253.84. However, there's a level of 254.96 and again at 254.77. So if you are trading Tesla today, those are kind of areas to the upside and to the downside. And yes, I know my Tesla charts are marked up, let's say that, but because I like to look at support and resistance on a much smaller scale, because when I'm in the trade, I kind of want to know where my possible trouble places could be, right? So And besides, I've been charting Tesla for a while. Just wanted to point that out. We are now looking at AMD. Where are the trouble places today? We closed at $94.47. And as you can see here, price has been just gathering in this area. We can mark it down here. Gathering in this area here. So support is around this level of 93.38. Resistance as of right now is around 94.08 here in this level here. So where are the trouble places? Above this level of 94.08, we can possibly have trouble at this 94.35, which is the 20 EMA as of now. Breaking that level brings us back to around 94.67. Should we break that 94.67, we can come back to 95.19, which is not far from the ATR trailing stop I have at 95.39. Breaking that 95.39 for AMD, we can come back to this level, 95.60. Breaking that 95.60, 95.75 could be a trouble place or resistance area, but as you can see from this level to this level, there's a big gap in between. So there's a lot of things that could stop us out. So 95.60 could be an issue, or 95.75. And the next level I have marked is here at 95.70. So I would definitely watch those areas. Let's see, I'm going to remove those because I don't need that. I'm going to go to the 1 hour just to see if I have anything above that. Not that gap area, 95.70. No, the 200 EMA on the 1 hour chart is at 95.91. So if we break that 95.70, 75 area, we do have 95.92. Could be a trouble place again at 96.58. And I'm just going to the body of the candles here, 96.58. Breaking that level, we can go back to that, 97.61. So if you're trading AMD, those are kind of areas to the upside. Now let's look to the downside. Back to the downside, we could possibly find support around the 92.78, breaking that level, 92.35. If we break that level, we can come all the way back down to around the 91.53 area, or 91.51, and breaking that brings us back to $90.89, which is the 200 EMA as of now. Breaking that level brings us back to $90.60, and if we should break that, $89.99 could be a support place for us. So if you are trading AMD, those are just kind of areas to the upside and to the downside. Let's look at Alphabet Inc. C, or Google, and see where our trouble places are. We closed at 161.47, and we did report earnings on yesterday. Stock moved up, as you can see, made a high of 171.45, only to kind of trade sideways. Are we coming down off of that high? Looks like we're finding support here at this 50 EMA. So where are the trouble places? Back to the upside, we will need to get back above 167.06. We could possibly have trouble again around 168.04. I have 168.11. Should we break that level, we could possibly have trouble 169.05, and breaking that brings us back to this level here of 170.04. Breaking the 170.04, I have the ATR trailing stop at 170.58, and if we should break that level, 171.08 could possibly be a rejection area for us here. Breaking that 171.08, we know we had trouble here at 171.45. Something stopped us here, so we could very well get back to that place or continue to the downside. Now, should it continue to the downside under the 50 EMA at the 161.55, that is a long candle here, right? So anything can stop us in between, let's say, the 167.0 or the 166.51 all the way down to the 163 even. So I would say trade carefully in this area, and if by chance we break under the 163, I have 162.65, and breaking that 161.26, breaking that brings us back to around 160.04, which is the 200 EMA. I'd like to see the line that I've already created as a support or resistance and another moving average line meet, and that's exactly what's happening here. So again, y'all, if you're trading Google or Alphabet Inc., it is not an inside day candle. Those are levels of support and resistance that I would watch. Again, not financial advice. So Google, Alphabet Inc. We were just looking at C. We are now looking at A. Let's go to A. Y'all do apologize for the mix-up today. So we closed at 158.28, and as you can see, it too is finding support on this 50 EMA. 164.30 is the support area for us. Back to the upside, 165.21, 165.81. There's a few layers here, so I would say 166.43. These are rejection areas or resistance areas. 166.68, breaking that 167.48 and 168.39. It is the ATR trailing stop. Should we break that, we can come back to the 169.41. To the downside, under 160, this level 164.43, we can find support 163.65, again 163.08, breaking that 162.45, which brings us back to around 159.06, because that was a long candle for earnings here. Breaking that level brings us back to 157.82. So if you're trading Google today, A or C, those are kind of like areas to the upside and to the downside, not financial advice. So we are now looking at Meta. We closed at 533.15, and as you can see, we've been finding support here, kind of bouncing off of the ATR trailing stop around the 546.13 area. Now back to the downside, we are under the 5 EMA on this 30-minute chart. Back to the upside, we need to get back above 549.89. Just know the 220 EMA, 550.54, could be a rejection area for us. Breaking that level, 552.56. Should we break that, we could possibly have trouble again, 554.50. And if we should break that level, we could possibly have trouble, 557.06, which the ATR trailing stop is at 556.63. So I would definitely watch those areas. Should we break that level, 559.01 could be a rejection area for us. Now, back to the downside for Meta, under 546.13, we can find support 544.73. Under that level, 542.29, and if we should break that, 539.16. Breaking that level brings us back to 535.34, and as you can see, there's a few layers of support here. So I would say under the 535, 34 area, we can come back to around the 532 and 532.69 and find, or 532.81, and find some type of support there. Again, we can get stopped out in any of those places in between. Now to the downside, continuing under the 532.82, we could very well come back to around 528.55. So if you are trading Meta today, those are kind of like areas to the upside and to the downside. Again, y'all, not financial advice. We are now looking at NVDA. We closed at 106.43. As you can see, we are finding have found support here at this 106.24. Now where the trouble places, back to the upside, that 5 EMA is kind of keeping us under right here. So back to the upside, we would need to get back above 107.14. Just know that's where our 20 EMA and a previous line that we had as a support or resistance area, that 107.14, breaking that brings us back to around the 107.41. Should we break that area, 107.78. And if we should break that, 108.31, which is the ATR trailing stop, if we should break that level, 108.52, not very far away. However, if we break that, we could very well have trouble again, 109.01, and if we break the 109.01, we can come back to this high of 109.52. So if you're trading NVIDIA today, those are kind of areas to the upside. Now to the downside, under this 106.24 area, we could very well come back to 105.64. If we break that area, 105.08, and we should break that area, we could possibly have trouble again at the 104.68. Breaking that brings us back to 103.90. And if we break that 103.90 area, I have 103.41. Breaking that brings us back to 102.46. So if you're trading NVIDIA today, those are kind of areas to the upside and to the downside. Again, not financial advice. So we are now looking at the SPY, and we closed at 5. Let me get the SPY chart together, right? Again, what did I do? Again, the SPY and Tesla is something that I trade often. So when you see these charts, they are a little bit congested. Let's say that, right? So we again closed at 546.69. We looks like we found some gathering spot here, but is this a bear flag? So we definitely need to watch this area. It's like immediately my eye went to that area. Is it presenting a bear flag for us on the 30-minute chart? So we have to be careful. And let's see, back to the upside, where are the trouble places? To the upside, we could possibly have trouble 546.26. If we should break that level, 546.57, breaking that 546.96. There's a few layers of resistance here, y'all. And if we should break that 547.25, breaking that level, 547.61, breaking that 547.62, and here we are, a few layers of resistance there. Should we break that level, 548.44, breaking that 548.68, and if we should break that 549.01, breaking that 549.01 area, 549.48, could be a trouble place for us, back to the upside. However, anything is possible, right? So breaking that level, we could very well come back to around the 550.16. Now let's look to the downside. Let me see if I can make that, yes, a little bit, yeah. So if by chance we break under this level of 545.22, y'all see there's a few layers of support. So let's just say 544.87, breaking that 544.63, breaking that brings us back to around 544.28. Breaking that brings us back to 544.01 and around 543.81. Should we break that, 543.34 could be a support place for us, or 542.03. Breaking that brings us back to 542.77. So if you're trading the SPY today, those are kind of areas to the upside and to the downside, y'all. So this is what I see when I look at the market. There are so many ways to trade the market, and what's challenging sometimes is trying to figure out the strategy that works best for you and having the discipline to execute your plan. So again, y'all, I hope these videos are very, very helpful. I hope that everyone have a very profitable, a very, very productive day today. If you could, please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all, because we learn and we grow together. With that being said, until next time, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.